Now, I'm joined tonight by broadcaster Kel Richards, columnist at The Australian and Spectator Rebecca Weisner, and the master of all things media, Chris Kenny. How are you, everyone?
Good to be with you again, Jack.
And nice to be with the master, Jay.
Well, Kel, why don't we start with you? What do you think about the role that social media giants are playing in curating news content and controlling that flow of information?
Look, you and I have talked about this, Chris and I have talked about this. They are obviously publishers. Now, why are they so terrified of being classified as publishers? Here's one of the reasons. I think if ever they became designated publishers, we would suddenly wake up to the fact that they are massive publishers. They are the biggest publishers in the world. Imagine a single television network, a single channel that had the global reach and the monopoly power of Google. We would be terrified. We'd say, hang on, we shouldn't let one publisher have this, or a newspaper, one newspaper that had the global reach and the global dominance and monopoly powers of Google. We'd say, hang on, it's terrifying that one publisher has this much power. That will be exposed if they're ever classified as a publisher. And I think that's one of the things they're terrified of.
Definitely. And Chris, I just want to read you a quote from Rupert Murdoch at the AGM last night, who's put it into a picture of how News Corp appears to be by itself in this fight against tech giants. People on the left, they don't really seem to be helping. He says, our battle against the big tech platforms, for years a solitary struggle, has helped to lead scrutiny of their monopolistic and algorithmic abuses. The fate of a free press hangs in the balance. This is quite a serious situation, but there's a deafening silence from everybody on the left.
Well, this is the trouble, Jack. What this exposes is just how dominated by the liberal left or the progressive side of politics the media is. Most of the media is left. And the reason that they don't challenge these practices and these absolutely censorious behaviour, the cancel culture of the digital giants, is because it all favours their side of politics. It's very short-sighted because in the end there's going to be such a shortage of diversity in the media, such a shortage of ideological diversity in public debate that they'll realise that they should have spoken up sooner. But they allow Twitter and Facebook to get away with this stuff because they are so biased, as you so clearly pointed out in your editorial. Classic little example of this just in the last 24 hours. I found out last night that I was trending on Twitter, and that was because I had been condemning and mocking the South Australian government's overreaction in locking down their whole state for 6 days. So Twitter, of course, foul abuse of me, lies, defamation of me because I dared to say this. Well, today, guess what? The facts are revealed. The South Australian government's admitted that it was tricked into this and is now pulling back its overreaction. So absolutely has exploded in their face. But because you dare to question things the left love, you get absolutely slaughtered on Twitter, and these people pretend that they're then trying to stand up for the truth. They only protect the reputation or the facts when they support a left-wing cause or a left-wing person. Their platforms are just open slather for anybody on the right or supporting a right-of-centre argument.
Exactly, and most issues are quite complex. Most issues are not simply black or white. And Rebecca, it appears if you go against the orthodoxy of what is the most commonly accepted view, that you get battered down by these tech giants. And that's a very silly way to debate ideas, isn't it?
Absolutely. But what's striking, for example, take an issue like voter fraud. Anybody at the moment who suggests that there is any voter fraud in the United States is being censored and silenced. They're having their accounts closed on Twitter, for example, or they're having messages posted saying this claim is disputed. And yet, in 2016, the Green Party candidate, Jill Stein, made exactly the same legislation and allegation, that the election was biased, that the voter machines had been corrupted. This was carried on CNN, in Reuters, in the New York Times, without any editorialising that this was somehow going to undermine democracy or that it was dangerous. Hillary Clinton, on the 26th of November, joined Jill Stein's campaign for a recount in Wisconsin and Michigan and so forth. Nobody said it was dangerous then. So you can see the absolute bias. You know, there'll be an issue, and if the Greens and the Democrats say that there's a problem with the election, no problem. And if the Republicans and Donald Trump said, oh, this is dangerous, it's undermining democracy.